Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of The Seed Pod, a podcast for kids and their grown-ups. The Seed Pod is a project from the Sycamore Seeds Learning Community teachers.
I'm Miss Lauren.
And I'm Miss Sam, and we'll be your hosts. Today is Wednesday, October 22nd, and our first Wonder Wednesday, a segment where you, the listener, can submit a topic you're wondering about, and we'll research it. Stay tuned to learn some fun facts about a certain fluffy friend.
Do we have any fans of the Beatles out there? Well, did you know that on this day in 1969, that's 56 years ago now, Paul McCartney of the Beatles had to publicly announce that he was not dead. 3 years before, a newspaper of Northern Illinois University published an article that McCartney had actually died in a car crash and was replaced with a lookalike. The rumors got so out of control that Paul, who was living a pretty low-key life in the Scottish countryside with his family at the time, talked to a reporter to prove it wasn't true. Today, the Paul is dead conspiracy is kept alive with some pretty far-out coincidences. A popular one is the hidden messages in some songs when played backwards, like John Lennon saying, "I buried Paul in strawberry fields forever." This claim has been denied by the band, of course, but some fans call it a cover-up. What do you believe?
If today is your birthday, happy birthday! Even if it's not, we can still send well wishes to a few famous friends who were born on this day. On October 22nd, we wish a joyful trip around the sun to co-founder of the Black Panther Party, Bobby Seale, reggae singer Shaggy, and Christopher Lloyd, who played Doc Brown in the Back to the Future movie series.
Welcome to Wonder Wednesday. Our first wonder is from a friend named Everett, who writes, "I would like to know more about kitties." Well, Everett, today we've done some research on cats, and I'm going to tell you 4 awesome facts about them. First, a cat's nose print is unique, just like a human's fingerprint. You can identify an individual cat by their nose print. No two are the same. In ancient Egypt, cats were valued so highly that if a family cat died, those affected would shave their eyebrows as a symbol of mourning. And did you know there's no need for a cat to go trick-or-treating? Cats can't taste sweetness. Although they may still enjoy sugary foods, they're primarily enjoying the fat content, not the sweet taste. And last but not least, story has it that the first library cat was in the Royal Library of Alexandria prior to 282 BCE. So that's over 2,300 years ago. Library cats were, and are to this day, kept as a deterrent for mice that might want to nibble on the book pages. So there you have it, Everett. I hope you learned something new about cats today.
Now it's time for Story Corner. We'll pick up where we left off yesterday in The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Chapter 13, The Discovery of Oz the Terrible. The 4 travelers walked up to the great gate of the Emerald City and rang the bell. After ringing several times, it was opened by the same guardian of the gates they had met before. "What? Are you back again?" he asked in surprise. "Do you not see us?" answered the Scarecrow. "But I thought you had gone to visit the Wicked Witch of the West." "We did visit her," said the Scarecrow. "And she let you go?" asked the man in wonder. "She could not help it, for she is melted," explained the Scarecrow. Melted? Well, that is good news indeed, said the man. Who melted her? It was Dorothy, said the lion proudly. Good gracious! Exclaimed the man, and he bowed very low indeed. Then he fitted them with their green eyeglasses and led them through the gate into the Emerald City. When the people heard that Dorothy had melted the Wicked Witch of the West, they all gathered around the travelers and followed them to the Palace of Oz. The soldier with the green whiskers was still on guard before the door, but he let them in at once, and they were met again by the beautiful green girl, who showed them each to their old rooms at once, so they might rest until the great Oz was ready to receive them. Promptly at 9 o'clock the next morning, they all went to the throne room of the great Oz. Before long, they heard a deep voice that seemed to come from somewhere near the top of the great dome, and it said, I am Oz, the great and terrible. Why do you seek me? We have come to claim our promise, great Oz. Is the Wicked Witch really destroyed? Asked the voice, and Dorothy thought it trembled a little. Yes, she answered. I melted her with a bucket of water. Dear me, said the voice, how sudden. Well, come to me tomorrow, for I must have time to think it over. You've had plenty of time already, said the Tin Woodman angrily. We shan't wait a day longer, said the Scarecrow. You must keep your promises to us, exclaimed Dorothy. The lion thought it might do well to frighten the wizard, so he gave a large, loud roar. It was so fierce and dreadful that Toto jumped away from him in alarm and tipped over the screen that stood in the corner. As it fell with a crash, they saw, standing in just the spot the screen had hidden, a little old man with a bald head and a wrinkled face, who seemed to be as surprised as they were. The Tin Woodman, raising his axe, rushed toward the little man and cried out, Who are you? I am Oz, the great and terrible, said the little man in a trembling voice. But don't hurt me, please don't, and I'll do anything you want. Our friends looked at him in surprise and dismay. I thought Oz was a great head, said Dorothy. And I thought Oz was a ball of fire, exclaimed the lion. No, you are wrong, said the little man meekly. I have been making believe. Making believe? Cried Dorothy. Are you not a great wizard? Not a bit of it, my dear. I'm just a common man. You're more than that, said the Scarecrow, angry and confused. You're a humbug. Exactly so, declared the little man, rubbing his hands together. I am a humbug. Does anyone else know you're a humbug? Asked Dorothy. No one knows it but you four and myself, replied Oz. I have fooled everyone so long that I thought I would never be found out. It was a great mistake letting you into the throne room. Usually I will not even see my subjects, and so they believe I am something terrible. Really, said the Scarecrow, you ought to be ashamed of yourself for being such a humbug. I certainly am, answered the little man sorrowfully. But it was the only thing I could do. Please sit down. There are plenty of chairs. I will tell you my story. So they sat down and listened while he told the following tale. I was born in Omaha. Why, that isn't very far from Kansas, cried Dorothy. No, but it is very far from here, he said, shaking his head at her sadly. When I grew up, I became a balloonist. What is that? Asked Dorothy. A man who goes up in a balloon on circus days so as to draw a crowd of people together and get them to pay to see the circus, he explained. Oh, she said, I know. Well, one day I went up in a balloon and the ropes got twisted and so that I couldn't come down again. It went up, way up above the clouds, and the wind carried it many, many miles. It came down slowly and I was not hurt a bit, but I found myself in the midst of a strange people who, seeing me come from the clouds, thought I was a great wizard. Of course I let them think so, because they were afraid of me and they promised to do anything that I wished them to do. Just to amuse myself and keep the good people busy, I ordered them to build this city and my palace. They did it all willingly and well. Then I thought, as the country was so green and beautiful, I would call it the Emerald City. I have been good to the people, and they like me, but ever since this palace was built, I have shut myself up and would not see any of them. My greatest fear was of the witches of the east and west, for they were terribly wicked. They thought I was powerful and terrible, so they let me alone. Still, I lived in deadly fear of them for many years, so you can imagine how pleased I was when I heard your house had fallen on the wicked witch of the east. When you came to me, I was willing to promise anything if only you would do away with the other witch. But now that you have melted her, I am ashamed to say I cannot keep my promises. I think you are a very bad man, said Dorothy. Oh, no, my dear, I really am a very good man, but I am a very bad wizard, I must admit. Can't you give me brains? Asked the Scarecrow. You don't need 'em. You are learning something every day. A baby has brains, but it doesn't know much. Experience is the only thing that brings knowledge, and the longer you get on Earth, the more experience you are sure to get. That may all be true, said the Scarecrow, but I shall be very unhappy unless you give me brains. The false wizard looked at him carefully. The wizard unfastened the Scarecrow's head and emptied out the straw. Then he entered the back room and took up a measure of bran, which he mixed with a great many pins and needles. He shook all this together and filled the top of Scarecrow's head with the mixture and stuffed the rest of the space with straw to hold it in place. Then he fastened the Scarecrow's head on his body again and said to him, Hereafter you will be a great man, for I have given you a lot of brand new brains. The Scarecrow was both pleased and proud that his wish was granted. He thanked Oz warmly and then turned to his friends. Dorothy looked at him curiously. His head was quite lumpy and it bulged out at the top with brains. How do you feel? She asked. Very wise indeed, he answered. When I get used to my brains, I shall know everything. Why are those needles and pins sticking out of your head? Asked the Tin Woodman. That is proof that he is sharp, remarked the Lion. How about my heart? Asked the Tin Woodman. Why, as for that, answered Oz, I think you are wrong to want a heart. It makes people most unhappy. If you only knew it, you are in luck not to have a heart. That may be how you feel, said the Tin Woodman, but for my part, I will bear all the unhappiness without a murmur if you will give me the heart. Very well, answered Oz. He brought out a pair of tinsmith's shears and cut a small square hole in the left side of the Tin Woodman's chest. Then, going to a dresser drawer, he took out a pretty heart, made entirely of silk and stuffed with sawdust. Isn't it a beauty? He asked. Oh, it is indeed, replied the Woodman, who was greatly pleased. But is it a kind heart? Oh, very, answered Oz. He put the heart in the Woodman's chest and then replaced the square of tin. The happy Woodman exclaimed, I am very grateful to you, and shall never forget your kindness. You are most welcome, replied Oz. How about my courage? Asked the Lion. You have plenty of courage, I am sure, answered Oz. All you need is confidence in yourself. There is no living thing that is not afraid when it faces danger. True courage is shown by facing danger when you are afraid, and that kind of courage you have in plenty. Perhaps I have, but I am just scared the same, said the Lion. I shall really be very unhappy unless you give me the sort of courage that makes one forget he is afraid. Very well, replied Oz. I will get it for you. He went to a cupboard and, reaching up to a high shelf, took down a square green bottle. He poured a liquid into the green gold dish, beautifully carved. Placing this before the Cowardly Lion, who sniffed at it as if he did not like it, the wizard said, Drink. What is it? Asked the Lion. Well, answered Oz, if it were inside you, it would be courage. You know, of course, that courage is always inside a person, so this really cannot be called courage until you have swallowed it. Therefore, I advise you to drink it as soon as possible. The Lion hesitated no longer, but drank till the dish was empty. How do you feel now? Asked Oz. Full of courage, replied the Lion, thanking him. And now, said Dorothy, how am I to get back to Kansas? We shall have to think about that, replied the little man. Give me 2 or 3 days to consider the matter, and I'll try to find a way to carry you over the desert. In the meantime, you shall all be treated as my guests, and while you live in the palace, my people will wait upon you and obey your slightest wish. There is only one thing I ask in return for my help, such as it is. You must keep my secret and tell no one I am a humbug." They all agreed to say nothing of what they learned and went back to their rooms in high spirits. Oz, left to himself, smiled to think of his success in giving the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman and the Lion exactly what they thought they wanted. "How can I help being a humbug," he said, "when all these people make me do things that everybody knows can't be done? It was easy to make the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Woodman happy, because they imagined I could do anything. But it will take more than imagination to carry Dorothy back to Kansas. I am sure I don't know how it can be done." Tune in tomorrow for more Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
And here's a joke to send you off. What kind of tree fits into your hand?
Bonsai.
A palm tree.
Oh.
Thanks for listening, friends. Tomorrow is Three Things Thursday, where we learn about things that come in groups of 3. So long.
Bye.